Moment of truth. Did Casio repair my Rangeman under warranty? I sent it to the West Coast facility for repair under warranty because the screws popped out. The screws that go into the lugs and hold together the band to the case. All right. So let's take a look and see what we have inside. All right. On the packing slip, it says description of problem, cover end link screws. Okay. There's not really end links on account of this being like a watch with a resin band, but that's what they repaired. All right, let's take a look at it. Some packing material, bubbles. Don, we got the bubbles. You want to stomp on some bubbles? Okay, here you go. You got some big bubbles, and then, oh look, small bubbles. All right. They used real packing material. Those of you who saw me send my watch off know that I just wrapped it up in newspaper. Alrighty. And it is on, and all of the packing material is actually trying to blow away. So Don's just going to be popping those bubbles in the background. And here it is. All of the same scratches on the screen. All of the same scratches on the metal keeper. All right. But the screws, how are the screws doing? Well, they're not rotating, but so on the top seems to be solid, right? A little bit of slop there, and then the bottom. They don't look like they're rotating, maybe moving a little bit. It's hard to say. So I'll test this out. I'm just going to put it on. Put it on, by the way. I got to take off this brand new one, which is, I have to look at the back, the WS-B1000. This is a $60 Casio watch that can access the Casio Watches app, and it counts your steps. All right. So that's a step counter, 1,035. And there's a graph on the top. But anyways, the Rangeman, of course, has a step counter. And just pressing the buttons gets over to the life log. I have 0 steps. Maybe we could see how many steps the mailman took. Maybe it could detect that. Alrighty, it's back on. All right, I'm not gonna like vigorously tough test it. I just want to give it a normal wear to see exactly how well these screws are going to hold in, because I allege, and this is just my theory, that the squishing down of the watch splays out the band and it pushes against this kneecap, and that's what was causing the screws to come out. Most of you commenters are saying that I'm abusing this watch with diesel, and everything I wear gets some diesel on it. That's what happens when you operate equipment and drive trucks in the oil field. All right, you get some incidental splashes, and for the purpose of testing, you know, I accidentally doused this watch with PB Blaster, right? And I do not think that would ruin the plastic, but you commenters, of course, are experts. You know, like, you'll tell me that PB Blaster is going to give me cancer, but then when I'm like, all right, well, I don't want Bluetooth on a watch. They're like, well, you're like, why not? And I'm like, well, cancer. And like, oh no, Bluetooth doesn't cause cancer. What are you, stupid? So YouTube commenters on the experts of what's carcinogenic. They probably tell the state of California what is carcinogenic, because everything I buy has a little tag that says that it is known by the state of California to cause cancer. So as far as fixing stuff goes, you know, like, I have to fix stuff a lot at work, and, you know, a lot of times there'll be something I'll be, oh, there's no way that this can be fixed. And I'm just an amateur, you know, I'm just like a hand when it comes to fixing stuff. But when I hand off that item to like actual mechanics and they work magic and fix the unfixable, I'm impressed. So with the problem with this Rangeman, I sent it back just to follow the procedure in terms of warranty, but I wasn't really confident that it could be fixed because, like, to me it looked like the lugs themselves were missing the threads necessary for the screws. And according to this, you know, the paperwork, which the wind blew away, but this fix-it place did something to the screws. And the end link, if they're counting the lug as the end link, I don't know what they did there. But before I sent it back, like, I could wiggle the watch, and the band would have a lot of play, and this screw was coming out. And so I'm just handling it normal. I'm not like, you know, I'm not like ripping on it like this or twisting it or anything. I'm just handling it. It seems to be solid, right? They're not, well, maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say. You guys are just gonna have to stay tuned because I'm just gonna wear it and we're gonna see exactly what happens, okay? But it is good to get the Rangeman back. We want some resolution to this issue. And, you know, I just want you guys to know what I'm dealing with this watch. Hopefully none of you encounter this problem, but, you know, it may not just be me. You know, other wearers of this watch may encounter the same problem, which is the screws coming loose. But this is how it came back from repair. Do you guys notice any issues with it? And any of you other owners of the Rangeman, the GPR-H1000, how does the play on this band compare to your watch, you know? And I got to do some work on the pickup today. I got today off. All right, I'm at home. I'm relaxing in the backyard, and I have a lot of stuff to do around the house, including work on my Ford F-150. Of course, I got to work on my Ford F-150. It's a 2002 Ford F-150. You can imagine all of the fix or repair daily that goes into owning a 2002 Ford F-150, a 5.4 liter engine, by the way. And so spark plug one, I think, is gone. I got to replace a spark plug. So we'll be doing a little bit of small engine repair, or I guess I wouldn't call it a small engine. I think technically a lawnmower is a small engine, but compared to a Peterbilt, you know, I'm not talking about a Caterpillar C18 engine. I'm talking about a Ford 5.4 liter V8. So cylinder one, there's a problem on the Ford, so I'll be working on it, assuming that the problem is just a spark plug. All right, and that will be a little bit of the first test for this Rangeman, the GPR-H1000, so stay tuned for that. And then we'll see what's in store for the watch, and if you know, this warranty repair place, they may have just followed the recommendation of the Casio, you know, the Casio, to say, hey, just, you know, replace the screws. Maybe they did that. If I had to fix it, I would load up the lug with epoxy and then like re-tap these screws somehow, even if I just have to like use the screw itself to screw it back into the center lug. That's how I would do it if I were me. And to further modify the watch, I would just cut back the kneecap with you know, a pair of like Dykes or Dremel or whatever, just to allow more play on the band to prevent that problem. But I wanted to go through the whole process of returning it as recommended by the manufacturer to see how that process was. And Philip Lahell was like, hey, I look back and you sent this to them in April. I think it was April 15. And here's the thing about me. Ironically, I have a bad conception of time. Even though, you know, I review watches, like you know, like 2 months went by, right? And I just lost track of time, right? you know, I have plenty of other watches I was actually wearing, you know, this being the most recent example, the WS-B1000 I just picked up. So it wasn't like my wrist was naked, and one day leads to another, 1 week leads to another, and suddenly, you know, 2 months have gone by, right? And so George G was really bugging me in the comments, wanting a follow-up video on this Rangeman, and I just pulled my truck into the wash bay, and I was like, you know what? I got to take a break for safety's sake. It's so hot. George G wants me to follow up on the Rangeman. I'll just call the place. I'll just call the Time Machine on Verdugo Boulevard, Montrose, California, and see what's up. So I called them. I was like, hey, you know, where's my Rangeman? And they were like, oh, we're waiting on parts. And I was like, okay. And then later on that day, I got an email that they're mailing it back. So they found the parts, and they fixed it up real quick from that phone call. Some of you have alleged that maybe they had already fixed it and they just forgot to mail it back. I do not know. That's the type of wild accusation a YouTube commenter would make. All right. But I have it back in my custody, GPR-H1000. And by the way, the craziest thing is I'd never actually hooked this up via Bluetooth. I have been using it as Bluetooth level 1, which is what I call the Bluetooth level. Bluetooth level 1 being the Bluetooth is there but not used. Bluetooth level 0 would be that there's just no Bluetooth at all on the device. And, you know, so I was using this as a Bluetooth level 1 device. And we'll hook it up. We'll get it hooked up to the Casio Watches app to bring up its Bluetooth level. And by the way, this watch cannot be, it's just a Casio, regular Casio. It cannot be Bluetooth level 0 because it actually has Bluetooth radio in it, right? And, you know, for all of you people who are like, oh, if you don't like Bluetooth, just don't use it. Well, there was an incident with my H1000, which has the same module as this, where I had it in power saving mode, and it spontaneously exited power saving mode and turned everything on, and the Bluetooth symbol was blinking, meaning it was trying to acquire Bluetooth, which is not Bluetooth level 0. So that's why you have to have a whole separate Bluetooth level for a device that actually has that Bluetooth radio on it, okay? And I'll make a video all about the Bluetooth level, because you know, we need to get all of our terminology down when it comes to how we're approaching Bluetooth on our devices, because it's a huge security problem. Nobody wants to admit it. All the people who think that PB blaster and diesel cause cancer and destroy plastic are the same people who just absolutely refuse to believe that Bluetooth could be bad for you or a huge privacy and security risk, right? But anyways, I'm getting way sidetracked because we're supposed to just be talking about the screws holding this band into the lugs. And it does seem to be better, but just my initial honest impression is that it's not as tight as I would like to see it. It doesn't seem to be that tight. And time will tell how well it's been repaired. And, you know, the repair shop may have done the best it could do with what I gave it in terms of getting new screws on there, especially if Casio was just like, listen, just, you know, put new screws in there, come on. But anyways, if I do have an additional problem, I will contact Casio if this is not up to my or your standards, okay? And so that's why I want all of you Rangeman owners to just see how much slop is there in the joint of your Rangeman band, okay? Maybe that could be the name of our group, the Rangeman band, right? Anyways, it's good to have this back. It's a big old meatball, really thick. It's a huge difference from the WS-B1000, which I've been wearing for the past few days. This is like a very diminutive, small Casio, regular Casio watch, and this is a giant meatball, okay? In my opinion, the H1000 has a better fit, better comfort level. But this Rangeman's supposed to have additional toughness, which it might have in the buttons, but definitely not in the screws that hold the band to the case. And there was one commenter who said that his GBDH-2000 had the screws like spinning around freely in there. So we want to open this up to other people. You know, you guys having problems with these screws, because it could be the same like screws that they have on the new Gravity Master, and they look very similar to those on the Mudman, but the Mudman has a hard plastic wing, which I think may keep you know, kind of keep there for being a lot of movement or pressure on the screws themselves. So here we go, gentlemen. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. I'm Jim Kinkade. Thanks for watching.